So back about 1991, I was in business about a year, and I heard about this entrepreneurial center, and which again I talk often about. Clay Mattiel was the main founder of this. Clay was the sole owner of Imes Pet Food, and he ended up selling it many years later for somewhere around 2.3, 2.4 billion. And he lives right here in Dayton, Ohio. So he was one of three now billionaires that I got to meet and talk to and learn from. But Clay had two other co-founders, which they ended up going from an entrepreneurial center to Aileron. Clay bought somewhere around 100 acres and put a big entrepreneurial center on that land, and they called it Aileron. And I'm going to be close to this, but the Aileron is, I believe, is part of the plane that helps it take off. And Clay wanted to help businesses, especially in the Dayton area, but really nationwide and possibly worldwide now, take off and excel and grow. And because Dayton, we had lost many big companies, General Motors, Delco, which is part of General Motors, NCR, Frigidaire. We've lost some really big companies in Dayton, Ohio, and Clay wanted to help rebuild Dayton through small businesses. But a couple of those co-founders I got to know really well, and who helped me the most because Clay wasn't involved in every class, was Dave Sullivan and Bill Matthews. And I took the president's course somewhere around 1991. And I was as green could be in business. I had never taken a business course. I did not go to college. I did not do well in school. And so someone told me you need to take his president's course. So I took it. It was a 2 or 3 day course, and Clay Mattiel was actually in the classroom with me, and I think there was maybe 5 or 6 other people. It just wasn't that popular of a training center yet. And so it was called the President's Course. Everything went over my head. I might have picked up on a few things, but it was way over my head. But here's what I know. I knew I had to be a visionary leader. And the more classes I took at Aileron, the more I learned this. So Aileron to me was part of my college. Reading 1,000 books, mostly business books, taking classes at Aileron, and understanding business more through business friends, and learning, of course, on my own, falling down a lot, skinning my knee, getting back up. But I needed to be more decisive and strategically thinking, and I needed to empower others. I needed strong, effective communication with other people, with customers, with employees. I needed to adopt what Aileron founded was professional management. And kind of like not working in the business all the time, which I was for many years, and working on the business. And then I also learned that I just had to be ethical and responsible in my conduct. And those were just a handful of things that I learned right away that I needed to continue to learn more about and grow on. So today we're going to talk about the many differences between an entrepreneur and an employee. Hey, this is Greg McAfee, and welcome to the Greg McAfee Show. Now let's get started. Welcome back to the Greg McAfee Show, where we discuss steps to successful entrepreneurship, how to take your business to new heights, and ultimately follow your dreams. Today we're going to be discussing building dreams versus building security. In other words, key differences between entrepreneurs and employees, how they think, their mindset, etc. And I guess what I want to challenge us on today is a lot of times entrepreneurs still want to act like employees. They don't want to put in the time. They're not dedicated enough. They're not buying into the leadership. They're not leading. And so we're going to talk about these differences in how it makes us different as an entrepreneur, and how we should lead, and our goals, our problem solving, what do we do with failure, a financial mindset, and all those types of things. So let's keep in mind, though, that these distinctions are not absolute. There are a lot of employees that think like entrepreneurs. And a lot of these employees make a lot of money, and they think, hey, I don't have to, I'm an entrepreneur mind. I have an entrepreneur mind rather, but I make good enough money where I don't have to leave this company. I can help grow it, still make good money, and not have all the responsibility and the risk. Makes sense sometimes. All right, so the first thing I want to talk about is risk tolerance. You see, an entrepreneur embraces calculated risk, sees opportunities, and sometimes they embrace uncalculated risks. In other words, they didn't do their homework enough, but they're willing to take a chance. Their gut, their heart says, go for it, and they do it. And sometimes they're extremely successful, sometimes they're not. But we stay persistent and we stay determined as an entrepreneur. Now, an employee seeks stability and predictability. They minimize their risk and they give up way too easy. And then you've got ownership. So an entrepreneur takes full responsibility. They own their successes, they own their failures, and they're willing to own their mistakes. Employees follow directives. They share in the responsibility, but sometimes they're not really strong at owning failures and owning mistakes. Okay? Again, this is not an absolute, but this is the majority of entrepreneurs versus employees' thinking mindset, rather. All right? So then you've got innovation. In innovation, entrepreneurs encourage creativity, they innovate, and they disrupt. And I've got a whole chapter in my book on disruption because we have disrupted the little world of HVAC and now plumbing. We also do air duct cleaning. We also have a full-blown sheet metal shop, which we started from scratch. But we know how to disrupt, and other companies in the area don't know what to do with that. So the employee mindset on innovation is they follow established processes and they maintain status quo. That's what they do. They're not going to get out of their box very often. That's a very comfortable box, and that's where they are. And then you've got time management. Well, entrepreneurs are very flexible. They should be. They're adaptable. They prioritize tasks. And we as an entrepreneur, make the most of every opportunity. I guess I would challenge some of you in that area. Are you making the most of every opportunity that comes down the pike? Or are you just watching some go by? Maybe because your finances aren't in order and you don't have the money to invest in a really, really solid idea that could blow up your business, but the shallow thinking and the want it today attitude will keep you from getting that far. And then you've got the employee mindset on time management, and it's very structured, it's scheduled, they follow routines, and they just wait for the right time or wait to be told, one or the other. And then you've got the financial mindset. And the financial mindset for an entrepreneur is we invest, we take calculated financial risks, we take some uncalculated financial risks, we create value for our money, and we spend money and time on investments. I'm constantly investing in my business. I reinvest the majority of profits. And I've mentioned this before, but for the first 25 years, 95% of all profits went right back into the business to grow the business and buy trucks and buy equipment and invest. And that's what we do. And an employee mindset is they earn a salary. They manage expenses. They enjoy steady paychecks on a regular basis. And if you're an entrepreneur, in a perfect world, that'd be wonderful, but that doesn't happen all the time. If you're a solid entrepreneur who puts his company first, his people first, his customers first, and his suppliers first, you may not get paid every pay period. There might not be enough, especially if you're a new company. There might not be enough to pay you every pay period. So an employee basically trades time for money. Where I said an entrepreneur, we spend money and time on investments. And an employee spends money on liabilities. Okay? So then you've got decision making. And decision making for an entrepreneur, we're very decisive. We can make decisions off the cuff. I can sit at a round table with 4 people or 8 people, it doesn't matter, and I can make a decision. And what I love about small business is I can implement it tomorrow. I don't have to go through a committee. I don't have to wait 6 months. I want to make things happen. We're going to do it fast. I don't need anybody else's buy-in, although I do discuss with my leadership team, and if there's a yellow or red flag somewhere, I want to know about it, but we're going to figure it out and go through with it. So we can be very decisive. We can make decisions off the cuff, and we start sometimes without even thinking. That's an entrepreneur mindset. Now, employees, they like to seek approval first. They like to be consistent, and sometimes they think without starting. We're an entrepreneur, we start without thinking. They think without starting. They think it through, but nothing's going to happen until someone says, go. And then we've got problem solving. And an entrepreneur seeks solutions. They adapt. They overcome. They innovate. And we improve, constantly improving our skills. We should be. Again, if you're not improving your skills, how are you going to get better? If you're not improving your skills, how are you going to grow? What's going to be any different 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, 5 year from now if you're not growing and improving your skills? And the employee mindset follows protocols, reports issues, asks permission to fix a broken system, where an entrepreneur just fixes it and moves on. And an employee mindset, they're improving their weaknesses, but not as much on the strength side. They're more worried about their weaknesses. And John Maxwell said, if you're out of 10, if 10's the goal and you're only a 5, and you work all year trying to get that 5 up, you're only going to get it up to a 6, maybe a 7 tops. But if you're an 8 and you work on it, you can get up to a 9. And you start to master it. And that's where you want to be as an entrepreneur, business owner. You want to be mastering things, staying focused and making things happen and blowing away the competition. I mean, that's the goal. And then you've got goal orientation. And entrepreneurs set vision, they achieve milestones, and we plan our dreams. We're dreaming, but we're planning our dreams. We're not just dreaming. Employees meet performance targets, and then they dream their plans. Nothing too big, just dreaming their plans. And then you've got freedom and autonomy. And entrepreneurs value independence. We're very independent. We have a hard time working for someone. I don't mind working with someone, but I would have an extremely hard time after 34 years of being my own boss and being the leader, I'd have a very hard time reporting to someone and someone over my back all day asking me what I'm going to do. That'd be extremely difficult for me and hopefully difficult for you. If it's not, maybe you don't have that entrepreneur mindset that you need. And then you've got the employee mindset on that freedom and autonomy, and that they appreciate structure. They seek security, where an entrepreneur, there is no security. I think we kind of make our own security. Hard work, smart work, risks that pay off, all those types of things. That is our security. And then they dream about freedom, where entrepreneurs, we just enjoy freedom. And then lastly, mindset towards failure. An entrepreneur learns from failure. We fail every day. We really do. There's things that we fail on every day, whether it's with our team, with a supplier, with a customer, or sometimes with our family. We fail every day. But we have to learn from failure and see it as opportunity. When you fail, it's an opportunity to learn and not to do it again. And we wake up after failure. It actually wakes us up and says, crap, I dropped the ball. I don't want to drop the ball too many times. Where an employee avoids failure completely, they fear the consequences of failure. I don't fear the consequences of failure. It's just failure. Some are bigger than others. Some of my failure has cost me more than others, but I don't sit around and fear it. And they also can. Now remember, this is not an absolute. This is not everyone, but a lot of employee mindset says they break down after failure. I mean, they literally have a breakdown. They have failed. To most entrepreneurs, it's a bump in the road. Fix it, move on, get better, don't do it again. An employee, failure, I have failed. And it's like it's over. It's done. Throw in the towel. Tap out. Quite a bit of difference there. And a couple other things to remember. Entrepreneurs focus on growth. Employees focus on stability. Entrepreneurs prioritize vision. Employees prioritize tasks. Entrepreneurs are self-motivated. Employees seek external motivation. You've got to keep pumping them up and encouraging them and telling them different things, how they've done, all those types of things. That's encouraging. But nobody's going to pump the pumper. I mean, we've got to pump up ourselves. We've got to be motivated. We've got to, when I take a risk, man, and it succeeds, that's all it takes for me. That's a couple days pump right there. That's motivating. That's encouraging. Makes me want to take another risk. And that's basically what I do. Let's run down the list here. There were 10 things, actually. We've got risk tolerance. We've got ownership. We've got innovation. We've got time management. We've got financial mindset. We've got decision making. We've got problem solving. We've got goal orientation. We've got freedom and autonomy. And we've got the mindset towards failure. So those are really good things to, number one, compare yourself to. Do you have the entrepreneur mindset on those, or do you have the employee mindset on those? Do you have some people on your team that have the entrepreneur mindset, but they're employees? Use them. Bring them in. Bring them into a position where they are more valuable to your company if they're not already. They should be. All right? So before we wrap up, if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe below. You can also support this podcast by rating and reviewing on iTunes or your preferred listening platform. Keep listening. I'll do my best to keep challenging you. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at The Greg McAfee Show. No spaces, no underscores. As always, thanks for listening. Carry on. God bless. Make this day the best day of your life, because we're not promised tomorrow. I'll see you later.